Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Jay and Tim. What's up, gentlemen?
Yo, yo, yo.
Oh, Timmy boy's tired. He's going through his test turn time, huh, buddy?
Yep.
Doing okay?
Oh, I'll be fine.
Are you an engineer yet?
Nope, not legally.
Not.
And if I claim to be, it's straight to jail.
Not
Really?
Not jail, but like in Canada, the word engineer is a protected term.
Oh,
So if you don't have like an accredited engineering degree actually, you have to be a professional engineer to claim that you're an engineer. Whereas like in a lot of countries in like the United States, like if you just like have work experience, you can be like, yeah, I'm an engineer. And it's
Right,
like not
yeah.
a protected term.
Oh,
Where's
so
that?
you guys are like the bald eagle. That's good.
more like a doctor, I think. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, we do have chiropractics, right? Like they call themselves doctors.
I've had good experiences with chiropractors, but this is not a medical podcast. So
We don't have the right.
I think Dr.
person on
Evan would
for,
have a different conversation about that if I had to guess.
yeah, probably.
And listen, if you're a chiropractor and you're offended by this, I don't care.
I mean, whatever.
You'll break somebody's back for all I care. I don't care. Leave me alone.
I just don't think I'd trust a chiropractor to cut into me.
Yeah.
Well, they don't do that.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Just
my
like,
point.
yeah. I mean, Lucas has a PhD and I wouldn't trust him to cut me. Like,
No.
you know?
Man,
I mean,
this-
based on some of the articles, I don't know how much I would trust Dr. Evan to cut me. You know what I mean?
this is not where I expected this opening to go.
Yeah, well, here we are.
It would be funny to be like, oh, I got this new doctor.
Mhm.
Should look him up, see what's going on, and then find his Legion articles.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Just Google him. Wait.
Oh,
what?
dude. I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I think I would be on board. I'd be like, yeah, that's sold. This guy's, but not everybody would be, right? You definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good talk.
All right, we are going to talk about Legion today. We're going to talk about, we got some spoilers for Ahsoka. We got her command cards, which is the missing piece for Ahsoka.
Woo! Yep.
You, Tim, have played a game with both Ahsoka and Cody, so we'll get your thoughts on both of them. Not at the same time, obviously.
Ah.
And if we have time, we'll get to kind of some quick hits about like what we'd like to see from a balance update, which they said was coming sometime after Worlds.
It's after Worlds.
It is after Worlds.
I mean, I would assume it's going to have to. They did Asmodee today, the retailer stuff. They did announce the store kits for release at the end of April because those are going to start May 4th. So
May 4th.
So I mean,
it would make sense for them to try and push it out before the new competitive season.
yeah, but think soon here.
They also kind of have been, I mean, they were openly not beholden to deadlines or dates when it came to like Worlds. So,
right.
My sense is, I know a lot of people are expecting it before May 4th. Maybe it'll come before then. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's after that too.
Yeah, or my opinion is I don't think you have to do anything, but
I strongly disagree.
oh yeah, did you win Worlds with Blizzard? No, oh no, you didn't. That's right.
I had two very,
Thank you for
very
the
fun
reminder.
games.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was Pilot Air. That was not Blizzard.
That was
Or other Blizzard players made the top 8.
But
So.
did they win?
All right.
Kyle hates that. That's why I'm doing this, everyone.
It haunts my dreams, Jay.
Yeah,
I don't need the reminder.
just to upset him.
All right. Let's do housekeeping first.
Oh, that's me, Tim.
Yep.
I do housekeeping. Did you know that?
Yep.
All right.
I'm just gonna go mute myself.
All right, buddy. See you, Tim. Yeah, so we got a lot going on here at the Fifth Trooper if you haven't been paying attention. This week, Monday, yesterday, if you're listening to this when we put it out, we announced that Legion 99, that's right, Legion 99, Nick and Keegan are officially part of the Fifth Trooper family now. So we have an additional Legion podcast. I think they're going to fit a really nice middle ground between us and Evan.
Yep.
Not that I've ever listened to their podcast, but everyone else seems to like it. So I thought it would be good to kind of, bring them on board based on the fan reaction.
It's a great podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously.
I've been on it twice now, and I barely listened while I was on it, so it's fine. No, I love Nick and Keegan. They're really good guys, and I think good people to add on to the team. And my whole thing is to kind of just like protect content creators because we need them, and I want to bring them on board. And this is kind of like I'm creating my own like Tartuga, like Pirate Island, for all us pirates to like be protected and like do our own thing and help them offset some of their costs, right? Because I said this on their cast too, if anybody listens to it, but like this isn't free to do this. We have equipment costs, we have it costs us to put out podcasts, the service to put the podcasts out, and our time, right? And we really like, you guys have heard me say this over and over again. We really like paying our staff here at the Fifth Trooper. And so, I always plug our Patreon, patreon.com/the Fifth Trooper, because all that money goes to the staff. Right. And so you guys get cool rewards. You get an after dark podcast. We gotta get our live Q&A going again. But like, you get all this extra stuff, but that money pays the staff for doing all this cool content that you love. And if everyone who listened to this podcast donated $1, like we could really like make a difference and put out some even more content because we could hire more staff or the staff that we had could put out more content. And that's why I'm always plugging it. And but yeah, so Legion 99's on board and they are like somewhat competitive, somewhat funny, in the middle between us and the Fifth Trooper Evan's podcast. And so, if you don't like us and you didn't like Evan, you can listen to Legion 99. So as long as you're still listening on the Fifth Trooper Network, all's good. And so and then in addition, we've got another writer and podcast member, Austin, who's on Evan's podcast, the Fifth Trooper podcast. He's also writing articles for us as well. So very excited about that. And then also, if you join our Patreon, you get access to the Discord, which gives you access to all the content creators as well. So, I know people are on there asking questions all the time about, hey, do you guys think this list is good? And you can get Kyle or Tim or mine. You don't want mine, but Kyle or Tim's or somebody good feedback, unless it's ATSTs or Ewoks. That's the only time I'll chime in. But I think you get access to the Discord and access to us and what we think about things, which is kind of cool. And there's been a ton of really great conversations that we've been having. So Legion 99. In addition, we've been doing it for a little while, but the Fifth Tile podcast, which is live Wednesday nights on all Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, we go live. Evan and I basically pick a game every week, talk about it, talk about other games. This week we're going to probably play MCP live, because that's Marvel Crisis Protocol, for those of you who don't know, because we got dragged into a tournament this Saturday by the Professional Casual Network. They kind of taunted us. And so Evan and I were like, all right, we're in. And neither of us have played a real game. So we've got to practice. So we'll probably do that during the Fifth Tile podcast this week, which, if for those of you who don't know, it's a podcast. We talk, but we also play a game like on TTS or something. And then in addition, we launched another podcast last week about Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught. I'm very excited about that. We've got some cool products coming for Onslaught as well. Some new tokens, acrylic tokens and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then let's see what else. Sidebars are in. So if you guys wanted sidebars, they're in-house, shipping now. And and of course, Patreon. Please, if you want to support the staff, the writers, the podcasters, everybody, go support us on Patreon. And then next week on this cast, for maybe some of the cast, we're going to talk about the new Stormtide, which is our narrative campaign. I've got some really, really incredible stuff going for that starting this month. And so I really want to talk to everybody about it. So join us next week for that, in addition to all our other Legion stuff that we talk about. I think that's it, Kyle.
Awesome.
I
I'm
think.
very excited to have Nick and Keegan on board.
Yay.
Always been good friends. And now they're on the team. So
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to have them on board. So
all right. Should we launch right into the Legion?
Woohoo.
yeah. You're gonna make me, Kyle.
How about we just lead with Ahsoka?
Yeah,
Yay.
let's do it.
I know Rebel players are very excited about Ahsoka.
Sure.
I know there was much consternation among Republic players when it was announced that the first Ahsoka would be the Rebel one, which is very understandable given that Republic only has like 2 operatives and neither of them are combat operatives. And
right.
Rebels have like 6.
Got a lot of commanders though.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm.
Republic just really needs a force org like Shadow Collective has, where they can just take 1 to 4 commanders / operatives. Like, let them take, Clone Commander and Anakin and 1 other commander, and who cares? But whatever.
Now I had thought, am I wrong? And I know we're going to talk about him too, but I thought that they had said something about a battle force when Cody came out.
They have not.
No, they haven't.
Oh, all right. Maybe
I mean, that would
maybe
be
that was a rumor.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, right? But
It'd be cool to see, but no, they
Mhm.
have not
Yeah.
done anything about it.
However, I think from a faction effectiveness perspective, Republic is a lot better off right now than Rebels are. So,
Yep.
whether we want to talk about unit diversity, that's a separate conversation. But Rebels are definitely in a worse spot than Republic right now. So the fact that they're getting Ahsoka, personally, I think that's fine.
Yes.
And I say this as a person that loves Republic.
Unit diversity, what's that?
Yeah. I just mean like the raw count of units. Clearly, Rebels have more units.
The 3 Republic lists that went top 16 tour whatever were, for all intents and purposes, basically the same list.
Yeah, 3 different versions of the same list. Yeah. Republic internal balance is not good. Which maybe we can get to that with the balance update wish list. But
Ahsoka.
Rebels, despite having many more units than Republic, are in kind of a rough spot right now with the effectiveness of said units. I'm unsure if Ahsoka is going to be the savior of the Rebels, so to speak.
Well, how would she be? Because I mean, following your logic, which I disagree with, I think Rebels are good. I just don't think people are playing them or playing the right lists. Let's start there. And
lots of people played Rebels at both LVO and Worlds.
Lots of people.
They were the second most popular faction.
Lots of people.
Pull up the data. Let me see.
Give me the
second
numbers.
Most popular faction.
Let's find an event.
And what was the top? I want to know the top list. Okay, well, go ahead. You pull that up, Tim.
The top list was, I played this guy, so I can rattle off his list. He had 3 full commandos.
Yep.
3 DLTs. Leia, Sabine.
But that's an insane list.
And a T-47.
That doesn't even make sense. Why would you even play that list?
Pretty good.
No, no. I'm sorry, it's not. No.
This is Rebel players, Jay, like grasping at straws, trying to innovate something that works.
Do you know what would have worked at Worlds? Is a 12 activation double T-47 list, but no one played that, did they?
Okay. Yeah, because everyone was playing Impact, which the T-47s get wrecked by.
Yep, agreed.
You guys have no idea what you're talking about.
When people are bringing like Impact 10 to 12 to deal with Dark Troopers, your T-47 list runs into that, you're going to be super sad.
Super sad.
Look, Jay, I love T-47s, right? But I just can't do it right now. Anyway, let's talk about Ahsoka because
Because that's what we said we'd talk about.
yes,
Well, what's the point then if it's not going to change anything, guys? If Rebels are in such a bad place until Ewoks get here, what are we going to do? What does any of this matter? Just end the podcast now.
I think she's a good unit. I don't think she solves the core issue of Rebels.
I think that's true.
And I mean, there's a double meaning when I say that. Rebels have plenty of good characters.
Yep.
All right. But let's talk about these command cards because Ahsoka does look genuinely pretty good. So
Yep.
we already talked about her unit card.
Yeah,
maybe 2 weeks ago.
she's a Jedi, 2 Force, 2 Training, 6 Health, Red Saves, Search Kit, blah blah blah.
Defend 1.
Defend 1, which yeah, blah blah blah.
That's not blah blah blah. Yeah, blah blah blah. Defend 1.
And
Yeah.
Jump 2,
And
which is
and the Jarkai Mastery, which is the same thing that Ventress has, which is essentially marksman with dodge tokens.
yep.
And no Master of the Force, so you're not getting your Force stuff back unless
Right.
you recover.
No.
Right.
And she has Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
Yes. But many more opportunities
asterisk,
to do
yes.
much more damage than
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Asterisk.
Yep.
Okay, where do we want to start? 3 or 1?
Let's go 3-1
Okay.
because I think the 1 pip is obviously the most exciting one.
Oh, it's so much fun. Okay, 3 pip. A new beginning. Ahsoka Tano on 2 units. At the start of Ahsoka Tano's activation, she recovers. Awesome. When Ahsoka Tano issues an order to a small base trooper unit, that unit gains either 1 aim or 1 dodge token. Ahsoka Tano gains Inspire 2.
I have a question.
Yes,
Is this permanent or is it just for this round?
it's just for this round.
But it doesn't say that, Tim.
Well, come on. Don't be like that.
I'm just saying every single Ewok command card says this round like
Yeah.
3 times, and this one has it nowhere on there. But of course, this is much more consistent with like
Old
old command
wording.
card language, which the default is that command cards only last for the round unless they have the permanent keyword. So it's totally unnecessary. But I'm just pointing that out to be like, if I'm a new player and I'm looking at these new command cards next to the Ewok new command cards, I'm like, wait, why do the Ewok command cards say this round and this one doesn't? Does it mean this one's permanent?
Yeah.
So,
oh well.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my little language rant.
I also, you know what? I think there's 2 different types of players that you have to worry about in that scenario, right? I think one of them you actually don't have to worry about. And so the one is just the kitchen table player, right? Who's just playing with his brother or sister or wife or buddy or whatever. And it just doesn't matter. Like they're just playing and having a good time. And if it feels good in the moment, then it's great, and they have a nice time. I think that the more concerning thing, right, is when you graduate from that and you're like, oh, hey, I heard my local store's got this tournament. I'm going to go play. And you've been playing it a certain way. And then you get there because the language is inconsistent. You get there playing something completely different than everyone else. And then that becomes a real feels bad, right? Because then, then you get people like us who are like, actually, let me tell you how that really works. So you're like, dude, I hate this game. Like that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the players that are new to the shall we say public scene, whether it's a tournament or showing up to a game night or whatever, that where inconsistent language causes the most problems.
Yep.
So
I mean, I brought it up on here before. Like, there are people who don't even know there's rules for them who have played in like 20-man tournaments where it was like me and Luke Cook and like competitive players, and someone's like, well, it's in the rules for him, and like just losing their mind going, what is the rules for him? And that's also a rough conversation.
And there's a lot more actual rules on the rules forum now than there used to be. In fact, there wasn't even a rules forum when the game first came out.
Nope. There was random emails.
And there were only like 2 random emails. That's the extent of things that required.
Do you remember the impact
that
screenshot?
Kind of clarification.
That was the chat from like a
It
was like a live stream chat, and it was like somebody screenshotted it from like Luke or something. It's like impact stacks
Yeah.
right here. The developer said it, and then no one
Yep.
believed it for a while. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Which, don't get me wrong, an official rules forum is good and necessary.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's
Eh.
definitely with the amount of stuff that is on the rules forum instead of in the rule book. It gets to a point where it's like, like you cover, like you wouldn't actually be doing cover properly if you didn't read the rules for them.
Right.
Is just one example, and that's like a core game concept.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Tim, how dare you get us off of this topic? And
sorry.
can you please bring us back to Ahsoka, Tim? God.
Okay. Well, so this card,
It's
number
this
one.
round. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
These are all this round, even though it doesn't say it. Every command card in the game is this round.
Unless it says permanent.
Unless it says permanent. Yes.
Off the bat, Ahsoka gets a recover, which is great because she doesn't have Master of the Force.
Yep.
Also, fun little extra wording that is new to the game is like small base trooper unit. So we can't give tauntauns or Mark IIs. You can give them orders with this card. You just can't give them tokens, which
a little bit sad. I don't feel
Yeah,
like that's a necessary restriction, but
seems unnecessary, but say la vie.
I like the thought process.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she deserves this, right? But there's definitely things in the past and potentially in the future where you're like, oh yeah, that would have been helpful if we identified that. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, think about like No Time for Sorrows when Tauntauns first came out.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. And then once you orders a unit with the card, actually, just when Ahsoka Tano issues an order, I don't know if you could potentially screw that a little bit, but they get an aim or a dodge token, which one, you're going to give Ahsoka an order with this card, which means she'll have 2 dodges for this turn, which is a great way to start the turn off because she has multiple ways to use dodges. And 2, I mean, rebels often don't have a ton of ways to get tokens, especially aims to their units. So starting the turn off with an aim on a rebel unit's never a bad thing.
So she gets it too, though, right?
Yep. So she'd have 2 because she'd have defend and the
defend and the dodge.
Or you could take an aim.
If you want. Yeah.
But you probably take.
You would take the dodge with her.
Yeah, because dodges are better than aims for her anyway, offensively.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So yeah. And then she also gets inspired too, which great, awesome, a little helpful.
Yep.
Maybe
I would say especially helpful, like they on this card they have Fulcrum and Sabine. So the idea is you're running Sabine and Ahsoka together in some lists, and Sabine loves Inspired around her because she's often stacking suppression up.
Yep.
Right, and this card allows Ahsoka, like if Ahsoka has any suppression built up, she'll recover, and then she can also Inspire 2 off of whatever's around her. But if it's Sabine, that always helps.
Though I will say with Sabine, suppression not as scary as it once was. Like I think Sabine out of all units really benefited from the suppression changes.
How so?
Because in I'm going to probably pitch this list tonight. I did it on Legion 99, but like I had a Luke Sabine list that I played for a year. And I would swap Ahsoka out in that list because of the play between them.
Yeah.
But before with the way you run that list and how it runs is 9 times out of 10, I wasn't losing Sabine to being defeated by wounds. I was losing her to panic where she was like running off the board or like running away from the battlefield, and like it just was like, and then they would just keep piling the suppression until she ran off the board, and so now she don't run anymore, right? So I think for me, in my experience, the new panic rules have helped her more than anyone because she was more likely to panic and run off the board than she was to be wounded to defeat, especially if you had her like stacked right. Like I had vigilance on the officer, and I had her with the with her shield and and the dark saber, so it's like
I mean, also you mentioned that too, like throwing a dodge onto Sabine with this card feels really good with her nimble. Right, that should have another thing you can do.
And if you're running Sabine, there's a good chance you're running Clan Ren
Yep. So then you
give
can have
them the third order, and then they also get their retinue dodge. So
yeah. Well, and then, yeah, they would probably take an aim and a dodge in that case then.
yeah, maybe. Yep.
And then because Tristan loves, well, I mean, the whole unit loves aims, but Tristan specifically to get that pierce.
Yeah. No, this is great. Free tokens are great.
Cool. Awesome. On to the 2 pips. That's
Like
right. There's 2 of them.
Tim's really
Two
trying to
pips.
move us along here.
No, I
today,
appreciate this. Appreciate it.
We were stuck on that card
Like,
slash tangent. For...
I get
That was a long
it.
tangent.
Like I get why he's doing it, but like the anti-authoritative person inside of me is wants to stop what he's doing because no one tells me to speed up. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm really struggling here. Go ahead, Timbo. You're doing great.
Cool. Well, while we're on the
You're
team up
fired.
tangent, family reunion 2 pip.
Yeah.
So this is the team up card they mentioned. So this orders Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren. When Ahsoka Tano gains teamwork Sabine Wren, which importantly she has defend 1, so she's gonna toss a dodge over to Sabine to start the turn. So this is now 2 turns of Sabine will get a dodge for the turn, which is
Great.
awesome. And then at the start of Ahsoka Tano's activation, Sabine Wren may perform a speed 2 move. At the start of Sabine Wren's
so
activation, Ahsoka Tano may perform a speed 2 move.
So good. So
pretty
good.
good.
Awesome sauce.
That's pretty good.
And we'll do it at the end, but this is a hard op Luke out, Ahsoka into that list. And I mean, I'm actually kind of excited to play it again now with Ahsoka in it. So
if you put burst of speed on Ahsoka, you could move them both just short of 22 inches in 1 turn with this card, which is quite far.
That's far. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
it's great. This is a great card.
Yep. Not too much to say about it other than solid, good, awesome.
Also slightly overlooked with those 2 cards is that Ahsoka is the rare operative that gives orders to other units.
Yep. Her command cards feel a little bit more commandery.
Yeah, these 2 specifically.
Yeah. Because then we go into the more operative Swift Protector. This is a 2 pip, only orders Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano gains Guardian 2, so she kind of turns into Obi-Wan Light for the turn.
Yep.
And when another friendly small base trooper unit at range 1 of Ahsoka Tano is declared as a defending unit, it may gain 1 dodge token.
So good.
That's amazing.
So good. So like for instance, for anybody who ran OP Luke and Sabine before, you generally would split them, right? Because you want to create a 2-sided front in order to attack. This is quite the opposite. You almost want to murder ball them and just run both of these units directly at whatever you're trying to kill, and there's a solid chance they're gonna do it.
I mean, you can this also. I mean, so I played 1 game of Ahsoka and I ran a DLT, not DLT. What's the Rebel range 4?
DLT.
DLT. Okay.
Yeah, DLT 20.
DLT 20. That's right. Because that sort of captain situational build was gone up a lot of points, but this card might bring it back a little bit because for that 1 turn, the whole ball just sort of turns into a kind of unkillable thing. Because every time, because with the nimble, all those units should have a dodge to start, and then you get another dodge when they get attacked. So now you have presumably heavy cover and 2 dodges. So that's 4 you're taking off. And then also Guardian 2. So one gets through, well, I'll Guardian it off. And then you run a medic in behind that because now your rebels are now saving on red saves instead of white. And then, if Ahsoka takes a wound or 2, you heal it back and you might be running tenacity on her. So then you might actually kind of want 1 wound on her.
Yeah. This seems like a situation where if you bring in a medic, you just kind of can roll the dice a little bit on Ahsoka.
Yep.
And then you get a blank or 2, and then you're okay.
Yep.
You stop rolling saves on Ahsoka for starters, but then you medic them back and you're good.
Yeah, you're kind of okay, taking up to 3 wounds on her, because then you just heal her back the 1 that turn, and then start of the next turn heal another one back, and then you're good to go.
Yep.
Especially if you have tenacity. If you don't have tenacity, you don't want her, with 1 wound, but whatever.
I think you take tenacity. Personally.
Oh, I think so, yeah. Because we get to the 1 pip.
Yeah.
I am no Jedi. It orders Ahsoka Tano, which gives her dodge, remember?
Yep.
Then Ahsoka Tano gains Agile 1, so it gets more dodges. While attacking during the form attack pool dice. Nope. form attack pool step. That's what it's called. Ahsoka Tano adds 1 white die to her attack pool for each dodge token she has to a maximum of 3.
It's really good.
Especially
Potentially
when you
9
can
dice with tenacity.
it's 10 dice with tenacity. 6 plus 4 is 10.
Yes, you're right. 10 dice. And then you've got probably 3 dodges,
Yep.
which each of which is like an extra hit. So
Yep.
the chance of getting like 8 or 9 hits on that pool is
Yep.
actually decently high.
And also, like, especially if you're using this to like Funko Force User in the face, like with Agile 1, like you can potentially be coming out easily outside of range 1 of a Force User, so you're not proccing into the fray. And like, you know, like any of the Force Users with just deflect, even if they have a dodge, if you're hitting them in the face with like, you know, 8 or 9 and they don't have any access to search, like they're taking most of their health pool in that one swing. So
Yeah.
this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super good. And then you don't have to actually, I mean, you have to spend the dodges for the marksman effect. But
yeah,
if you roll pretty well, like you can just save the dodges for the return hit, you know?
Well,
yeah, I mean,
Like at worst, this is like 2 free dodges.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's ways you can, I mean, listen, we always talk about like the outlier ways of how you can manipulate this, but like if you had an officer with vigilance and like a portable scanner,
Yeah.
like you could be giving her some more dodges so that she could do both, right? She could improve her attacks and she could save some for the return attack if there's going to be one, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, though, like potentially like peak quote unquote like offensive way to use this would probably be like take reflexes, you take a like give her the order for 1 dodge, use reflexes for another, take an aim and do a move to get your 3rd dodge, and then you have an aim and 3 dodges.
Mhm.
And like so like for without sort of outside influence, right? Like this is just sort of herself with list building. Because then you have, because like with rolling that many dice, you're gonna have blanks. The aim is gonna be a useful dice. And like you have enough, like with tenacity, you got 3 red, 2 black. You're probably re-rolling at least one of those good dice, and then a white probably. So then, and then if you do sort of like a blank out on any good dice, then your aim is super effective, and then you use the dodges on the rest, and you're really swinging for the fences there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Love it.
Can we
Yeah,
talk
I
about the card art, by the way, because
Oh,
it's awesome.
so good.
I don't even know what this crazy swing Ahsoka's pulling in this card art is, but it's her duel with Vader, and
Yeah.
she's like back sabering him like as she's flying in front of him. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Such a good scene.
I mean, I have a
really is.
concern by the position. Like, I don't know how effective that is in combat, but you know,
The art does look like she's about to get like
yeah.
like
Snap.
fined by
I'm
Vader's
gonna turn
lightsaber
my
in that
back
one.
and put my legs up behind me as I slice you. It's like, all right, and then you just
Yeah. Vader's even got his lightsaber back. Like if he's in mid swing, that
right,
swing is just going to continue and chop
Yeah.
Ahsoka in half while she's not defending herself. But
Yeah.
you know.
But it's dynamic for the
It
card.
looks
Not,
cool. Yeah.
it's not combat
It's
ready.
space magic. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I don't actually remember this scene well enough to know because she does like slice Vader's mask. I don't remember if that's
No, I don't think it
the
was
particular-
like that.
I don't
No,
remember that.
No,
either,
it was
but-
I don't know. It was a
more
pretty tight-
reserved. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Well,
Yeah.
it was a very like one of those like more classic duels where they actually put real good motion into it, and it was like
Mhm.
it wasn't very flashy. It was quick and emotional, which are
Yeah.
the best duels / sword fights in.
Yeah.
Vader
Right.
or Kenobi and Maul's final
yeah.
duel is the best.
That's a great one. Yeah.
I loved
Yep.
hearing Sam Witwer talk about that, by the way, which you can listen to on the Fifth Trooper podcast in the archives.
Yeah. You gotta go back.
You got to go back, but Sam Witwer does specifically talk about that duel on said podcast.
It's
So
not one of our more popular podcasts, but it's
for some
there.
reason, yeah, like
Hey, you guys get I think I've talked about this before,
yeah,
but
you
how
interviewed Sam
hard-
Witwer. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, moving on. Anything for so? Let's talk about how Ahsoka fits into Rebels generally, in light of these cards.
Sabine. Easily. I think it's Ahsoka Sabine. That's your number 1 list. You might be able to pull an Ahsoka op Luke, but it's tough.
I think that's too many points.
I think it's like, I mean, like obviously they're pushing you to do like Sabine, Ahsoka.
Yep.
And like especially if Sabine could be helped a little bit, like, like if Sabine gets a bit better, like totally awesome. And like I totally want to be trying Ahsoka Sabine,
Mhm.
at local play night stuff. And I think it's totally great for like that kind of play. But like, is it competitive at the highest levels? Yet to be seen. Um, that being said, like if Sabine got some help, definitely.
I think the problem is,
I think Sabine's fine actually.
yeah,
I think the issue with Rebels is like you take Ahsoka and Sabine, and then what else do you take?
I'll
That's
tell you.
fair.
You ready? I got a
All
full
right.
list.
Oh, here we
Okay.
go.
All right. Rebel officer, vigilance portable scanner.
Okay.
Okay. Ahsoka, force push, force barrier, seize and into the fray. And I take an argument for tenacity there, but into the
No,
fray.
I like
If
Caesar. I think
if
I'd
you're running
take
with Sabine, yeah.
burst over barrier
Yep.
there.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right.
Caesar makes sense
Sabine.
though.
Sabine with seize, personal combat shield, grappling line, and the dark saber. 2 rebel vets with the 93s, offensive push and recon intel. 2 MKs, and then 3 snipers. 10 activations.
Yeah.
It's decent. I feel like, yeah, it's okay. I definitely think right now, if you're taking Rebel Core, it is the Vets MK2 combo. Um, even though Ahsoka seems to like cry out to want to be used with Rebel Troopers are just not good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I could definitely see a list where you do that, but where you do it with Rebel Troopers instead of Vets, and then you can get some real value out of Swift Protector. But I don't think that one turn of Swift Protector is enough to actually justify taking the Rebel Troopers.
No,
The
and I think like in my head, and that's kind of going back to what I was talking about before. This list operates better when the vets, the MK snipers are all kind of reserved and in back, and you're running Sabine and Ahsoka up front, and then the rebel officers are kind of in the mid. And so all the attention is on Sabine and Ahsoka. So keeping them alive longer and together. So like there's gonna be times that Swift Protector, you would use it on Sabine to kind of keep her in the match. And then you're just using them as this like double like wrecking ball coming into units. That's how I think they'll work based on what I did with Luke and Sabine. I mean, that this is just based on my experiences that I have with that Luke Sabine list. That this is how I would run it. And yeah, I could see a switch for burst over barrier. I had some ideas about barrier, with specifically with Sabine, and like on that's not going to hit her, and that's
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Ahsoka's not going to be doing that many recovers, and especially on the way like a barrier, you get
Yeah.
a lot of the usefulness on the way in, right? Like, your Jedi with Massive Force is like using barrier before they're starting to force push, and then
Yeah.
to get it back. Whereas Ahsoka, when she's not force pushing, wants to be like probably double moving, right, to get into position. So you're not like you'd get like one use of barrier on the way in, and then you get your recover card. Like you're probably only using your barrier twice.
Yeah.
So you might as well just
Yep.
use burst once.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense
that's
to me.
fair.
Yeah. When I did my one game with Ahsoka, I did Leia Ahsoka, and then 5 of the like DLT captain situational awareness guys, and an officer with vigilance, and then fleets with medic for only 9 acts, but it was a beefy 9 acts. So it's
Yeah.
also like no time for sorrows on a like defend 1 Jedi feels fun,
Yep.
especially with burst, because you can like no time for speed 1 and then double speed 3 and really move.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else on Ahsoka?
Stop trying to move us forward, god damn it. This is we're staying here. I don't know. I'd have to think more about any like what other combos there are, because it's hard to, they're pushing you so hard into Sabine that it's like hard to see through the fog of that to find what other like combos would be good. Keegan on Legion 99 had brought up maybe there's a place for Jin with Ahsoka, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I don't mean this to make fun of this person at all. I just thought it was interesting. Someone on our YouTube asked how you would use Jin's her courage when she's an operative, and I was like, no, she doesn't. She just has infiltrate. She doesn't have covert ops.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, like that. And I'm like, man, it's been a long time since anyone's played Jin. It's like,
For sure.
and that's no slight to that. I'm not making fun of that person at all. It's just it was just interesting. That's how Jin has not been played, right? so
So just plugging in Ahsoka, Sabine, and Clan Ren, how I like to run it all, 471 points.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
actually,
gonna be tough to like build a list around that.
when I said Sabine needs a help, if Clan Ren got a bit of a boost, like Sabine herself was left alone, Clan Ren got a bit of a little points cut.
Rebel Mandos definitely need something. I don't know about
Yeah.
I don't know about Clan Ren. Clan Ren I think is actually currently still pretty good for
Clan
what they
Ren
are.
is
but-
fine, but selfishly, I kind of wish they got like the Inferno treatment because like they're
The Inferno treatment was
a bit much.
I don't know if it was much, but it was a lot.
But like because you can only take one of them.
Yeah.
Like they're a little bit self-limited by like, oh, even if this unit is amazing, you can still only take one.
And you have to take it
And you
since
have
they
to take
have right.
Sabine, right? So
Yeah.
like even if Clan Ren were like 80 points, that just sort of like cuts 40 points off the Sabine Clan. I mean, I don't think that should be the case, but like that cuts the points off the Sabine Clan Ren combo, right? So it's still a like 100 or 250 points for the two of them, right?
Yep.
So anyway,
Still a lot.
still a lot.
Yeah. No, I get it. And with Inferno definitely got some steep cuts, but it just feels like a kind of in the same way that like a mortar is a pretty darn efficient unit, but you have to take a short trooper. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously Iden's good. It's like you can just take Iden and she's good, but Inferno is like part of the Iden package,
Yep, exactly.
So clearly you could just take Inferno by themselves, but they're not nearly as good without retinue. So
yeah. I mean, because I've my sort of like the army I play a lot of at our local store is my Rebel army, and the like Sabine Clan Ren combo has always felt a little points heavy for me.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's just a lot. So whether Sabine or Clan Ren or both of them need a little bit of help. I think just that combo together is just too top heavy. So in some way or another, it should be taken down a bit.
Yeah, that's fair. Should we talk about Cody real quick? Just your Cody experience, and then we can segue into like a quick hits for what we want to see in the balance update.
Yep, Cody's fun. A Cody list. So my thrown together, tried out list was Cody with aggressive tactics, clone commander with lead by example, a phase 1 with a DC 15 and a captain, a 5s with phase 1 with specialist, RPS with recon intel, 2 Z6 and medic squads, Echo strike team, and a bark speeder with an RPS gunner. So that's a lot of firepower.
That's a lot of things, yeah.
Jeez.
And then the game I ran with it, I was able to get some not lucky shots, but good angles. And like I was playing like a Maul, Broadcast, sort of a like kind of everything Shadow Collective list.
Yep.
And I like tabled it in like 3 turns. Or 2, it was like 2 turns or something.
Wow.
Because this list can throw a crap load of power. And like there's 2 like surge hit / surge crit fire sport starters in the Bark and Cody. Plus you got a fair bit of critical weapons, which are also good for starting fire sports. And there's just a bunch of surges floating around. And Cody's 1 pip is great at taking out buses. Because I lasted him in like last sort of like move, shot the bus for a wound or 2, whatever. And then played his 1 pip, won the priority, and like double observed the bus, right? threw in and has a name on Cody, threw in a fire support from the RPS, spent one of the observes for another impact 1. So I'd impact 4 surge crit, rolled it out, got 7 results, spent the aim for Pierce 1. So it was, yeah, like 4 hits with 3 crits.
Oh,
It might have actually been 4 crits, 3 hits or something, but it was 7 at the end of the day. And then spent the aim for Pierce 1 and did 7 wounds to the bust. So it kind of felt like an Anakin saber throw at range.
At range 3.
Rate 3.
Yeah.
That being said, like it wouldn't have felt as good into like red saves, of course.
Right.
Because it would have saved more. And also you can't spend that token against Dark Troopers. So that's a big asterisk on all that.
Yeah. the most important thing to be threatening with impact weapons.
Yes.
Yeah.
But all that being said, like that first and then that was my first action. So then the second action was get it back behind line as I cover. So like that 1 pip is pretty good. Like whether you just need to shoot something normally, right? Double observe and then shoot it and move away. Or you need to shoot a armored piece, like a vehicle, and get an extra impact value. Like it's a pretty good 1 pip. Didn't ever actually play the 2 pip and didn't ever actually play the 3 pip because it was a quick game.
Okay.
But that 1 pip, like that was sort of a good, nice to throw the dice on that. Just to see how it feels. And long story short, it kind of felt like throwing an Anakin lightsaber at range 3, which is good.
Yeah, that's right. And he's substantially cheaper than Anakin, obviously.
Yes.
Brings a very different tool set. Like if a Vader gets into your lines or something, you'd much rather have Anakin than Cody. But
yeah. I also flew the Bark Speeder kind of basically like I sort of threw it in sort of a roundabout way. So it kind of just was in my lines for like by round 3, I would have had to start, try to like move it around a little bit to like, but like it just sort of stuck in my lines and was another heavy weapon squad that was surge defense and heavy cover with 5 wounds because of aggressive tactics and a free token, right? So yeah, I think Cody's pretty good. Like that. I mean, that 1 game doesn't like, stamp of approval. It's super good, super bad. But it's like the things that I was thinking beforehand were sort of like, yeah, the things that I tried to do that I thought I could do with Cody, I was able to do. So that feels good.
Nice.
His rifle's good.
It seems like it should be.
Yeah.
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 Or seems like it would be rather.
Yeah. I mean, especially because like often I think you're gonna be like, your last activation move shooting him, and then you'll probably have another aimed. Like you'll probably have 2 aims to spend, maybe 3. Well, I don't have exemplar on this list, so like I'll have 2 aims to spend, his own and another one. So you're pretty reliably doing 1 or 2 damage, and then you like then go first with the next turn and do a fire support and do another 6 or 7. It's a pretty good wallop.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Awesome.
Oh,
I'm
and
not trying yet, but-
and I did the air support thing, which his air support doesn't feel nearly as good because he doesn't have sharpshooter.
Yeah.
But he does have surge crit, so you're kind of just looking to like force that 1 crit through.
Yeah.
But it was fun to like double hit something at range 4.
Because you can hit him with the rifle and then you hit him
Right,
with
so
the air
you like
support.
move. I mean, or if you're standing there, but like you like move, shoot your rifle, shoot the air support. And yeah, it's I mean, just the extra suppression too, right? Like you're able like kind of like act kind of like a pseudo suppressive weapon for that turn. Get 2 suppression on 1 unit and then 1 more suppression on 2 other units. So that's never not good.
Yes.
Well, except Dark Troopers.
Right. Except against Dark Troopers, where it's literally worthless.
Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should we do a quick hit wish list?
Sure.
We have
Ewoks.
to do like comprehend. Yeah.
There's one.
That's on my wish list.
It's on my wish list too.
Same.
I want some burger bears.
Ewok gliders is actually my real wish list. Yeah, that would be good.
And I know I said before I'm probably only going to buy them if they're good. I'd be really shocked. I have changed my mind.
Yeah.
Because they're awesome. But also, I'd be really shocked if they're not based purely on their command cards. Something that actually Seth and Matt from Bombad Generals pointed out that I thought was super relevant on their command card. I know this has nothing to do with the topic we were just supposed to talk about just now, but that one pip that does immobilize, it says immobilize one on their weapons, on each of their weapons, which means that if a Ewok unit can take more than one weapon, which I presume they have heavy weapon slots, that could be like immobilize 2 or potentially immobilize 3.
Yep.
A normal
baby.
unit attack.
Yep.
Plus the ability to kick a token back.
Yep.
That's crazy. And it's a 1 pip. So it's basically whipcord on more than one unit. With pin down at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be highly
command card.
Yeah, highly dependent on what. Like, I mean, I'm assuming their health isn't great, and their hit, right? You know what I mean? So, like, I think it's a dangerous predicament you would put them in, but
and the models look like they all have spears, so maybe it's like an all melee army. I don't know.
Oh my god!
Yeah, spears and slingshots.
I'm so happy.
Like, it could be just that their base weapons are garbage. And that makes up for these insane command cards. But
there's got to be something.
Who knows?
I mean,
I'm very anxious to see the normal.
We saw Wickets or whatever, right? And it was fine. It wasn't great. So it's like if they're within the same like
the spear looked pretty darn good.
The spear
I meant like the ranged weapon. I guess the slingshot was just fine. But like if they're in the same realm as that, then it's just like these like. And that's how like old school goblins used to play, where it would just be like you're like looking at the army going, no, this is gonna be bad, and then they would have these like their moments of greatness where they would just do insane stuff, and then they would just fall apart the next turn or whatever. Like, I miss that.
The other thing too is the like 2-point values I've seen are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Like this could also be an army that like
and Wicket, you mean? Yeah.
This could also be an army that like.
You get like 13 activations or something.
13, 14 activations with just a crap ton of units.
Oh, God. Yeah,
so
that would be amazing.
The other thing people notice is on 3PO, his Guardian effect is within instead of at. So that's, unless they fix that in the CRB, which they could, because that's just a reminder text. That would be an easy fix. Yeah. Although, please, for the love of God, fix lead from the front at the same time if you do that. It's going to be pretty difficult to use that Guardian effect.
Yeah.
And he's only 3 health, so that means it's going to be pretty difficult to use 3PO, period.
Yeah, there's got to be something we're missing with it. Or he's just not a great commander, but I feel like maybe it's just everything's so cheap that it just doesn't matter, and you're just loading up and trying all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he I think if it said at, that would make a lot more sense to me.
Whatever.
Anyway, that's a tangent. Give me, besides Ewoks, Jay.
Yeah.
Give me 5 things you'd like to see, whether...
5?
Holy
Christ.
Okay, sorry. 2. Give me 2.
Oh my God, 5.
Give me 2.
I can barely think of 1. Let's see.
Either nerfs or buffs, doesn't matter.
Okay.
I can think of like 10. That's why I said 5, because I was trying to limit myself.
Listen, as much as I joke, I think a point increase on the HRUs, and then maybe taking a speeder bike away, going back down to 3 speeder bikes. I think 4 was just too much,
But what about the people that bought 4 speeder bikes?
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have bought into the new hip thing there, you hipsters. I don't know.
6 months before it was hip, for the record.
Or something. They got to do something, right? So whatever it is, but something's got to happen. I don't know how I feel about Dark Troopers yet. Like, I get they're oppressive. I get what they do. I just Ewoks could kind of end their reign of terror depending on what they're capable of doing. You know what I mean? And I know we were going to talk about this power creep to balance, but like I just don't know. I think more games with them before you do anything, because I can't. I know that they're good. I do, but I just don't think it's to a point where we need to like buff them. I think the focus should for sure be on Blizzard Force.
Yep.
I
But-
mean, yeah, if you can only change one thing,
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
Blizzard Force, but there's no like artificial limitation.
But I think
My-
like a cleanup of all the battle forces.
Oh yeah, the other ones could have some easy cleanup stuff too.
Yeah,
Yep.
not bring 501st up a little bit. I mean, as successful as Mike Dash's Barry was, I mean, we all knew that was pilot more than it was
Yep.
list, right? And so
then he
you know,
took, took my idea for Padme.
right.
Yeah.
And so I just
Not
think,
my idea, but
clean up the battle forces. I think that would be like if you did that alone and just balance those 4 battle forces out, that would go a long way to help, especially people who are just buying those boxes. Like I keep seeing on the Facebook group, like, oh hey, new, what should I get? And normally, if I would recommend one of those, like if those things were balanced, I'm like, yeah, go get that Blizzard Force box set and grab a couple of these, and you're off to the races. But the fact that everything's so unbalanced, it's hard to like recommend that to anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if they cleaned up those boxes, that'd be good.
the my like 3 things would be take Guardian away from Dark Troopers. That's
Yep.
dumb.
Yep. Agree. That seems like
HR
an obvious one.
Yeah. HRU's up and Op Vader out of Blizzard Force. And then the one
Sad
thing
Vader noises, but yeah, agree.
but like whatever. Fluffy.
Yeah.
It's not fluffy to have operative in there. Then the thing about Dark Troopers is always like, because I mean, with the lists that are around with a lot of impact, they're fairly fine. Take Guardian out. That's why I say that, and whatever. But they act as a huge gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Right? Like they do warp the meta by their existence. And it's not even that they're like
It's not even a
oppressive.
balance issue.
They're oppressive if you don't have a plan to deal with them, which means you have to have a plan to deal with them, which affects your list building. But then that also affects the other list building, because like I don't want to take T-47s or like any kind of armored vehicle right now, because if everyone's like taking enough impact to deal with Dark Troopers, well then like T-47s, ATRTs are just gonna get blown out of the sky, like sky or water or whatever. So, and that's not even really a balance thing. That's just a like state of game thing, state of meta thing.
It's a mechanical issue.
Yeah.
And it's simply because like, I mean, we've had plenty of units in the past that have kind of demanded counters.
Yeah.
But you could sort of build soft counters into your list that allowed you to have a game against those units, even if it wasn't like a hard counter, without just kind of overhauling your entire list concept. Whereas Dark Troopers ask such a difficult question that in order to like build for them, you have to kind of overhaul your entire list to skew specifically against the Dark Troopers. And I can't think of a time, maybe Tauntauns were close, but other than that, I can't think of a time when like it required such an extreme, like you have to essentially skew in order to actually build in a counter for Dark Troopers, and that's what causes the issue. And I don't think that's an issue that you can fix with points. It's a
Nope.
structural issue with how Dark Troopers are designed. So
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys already hit Blizzard Dark Troopers. I agree with both of those as far as everything goes. I'd like to see Boba Fett Empire
Yeah.
either lose his access to Rebel those command cards or just go up by like 15 points.
Yeah. I mean, he got access to 3 whole new command cards and then didn't go up in points at all.
After getting a very significant
Yes.
unit card buff.
Yes.
Almost at the same time. So
Yeah.
and he was arguably pretty viable before then even. So yeah. I can't think of anything on Empire that I would cut. Those seem like some pretty clear, obvious Empire nerfs for me. It'd be nice to see Rebel Corps get some kind of help, specifically Rebel Troopers. They got really caught in the crossfire of Pike nerfs and the dodge span nerfs in a way that really left. I mean, Rebels have to, like, every army has to say core. And so when your core unit, your core box core unit is bad, like that's a huge structural issue for your faction. So I'd like to see Rebel Troopers get some help, whether it's personally, I think it'd be good to see it in like the heavy weapon upgrades, because I feel like even historically they've relied too much on captains, and I would love to see just like the old Rebel Trooper with a Z6, Rebel Trooper with a DLT, and nothing else kind of come back as a unit that's effective.
Yeah.
But right now it's just too expensive for what you're getting, which is a Courage 1 unit with no critical mitigation, basically.
I think I would like to along that to tag on to that. I think we talked about this last time when we were like doing predictions, but I'd like to see some points adjustments for both them and the core units for Empire, like and and
I think Storms are
CIS.
fine.
I think some of their weapons are a little expensive. I think
Sure, but
outside of Blizzard.
T21 Storms are a perfectly fine unit.
Yeah.
I could see like the RT97 maybe getting like 2 points or whatever.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem like
minor.
a huge priority when
No.
I
guess I just don't how wholesale of a change are they going to be making versus is it just emergencies or
I don't expect it to be like the 2021 update. They've basically said they're not going to do that again. So
well, that's a crazy thing to say.
They've said that not that they're not going to like help out obviously bad units.
Okay.
But they've said essentially two things that they're not going to do. They're going to try and avoid errata, or errata is the wrong term, but changing text on cards or other things on cards. They're going to try and avoid that, and that they were going to focus more on basically nerfing problem units than they would on doing like a full comprehensive look at every single unit and upgrade in the game and trying to even everything out. That doesn't mean that they won't help struggling units. Obviously, we saw some cuts in the last update, which were pretty helpful for Republic. But that was also kind of like a broad brush thing, right? The whole like Death Trooper DLT cut really stood out because it was the only cut that anybody got that wasn't related to like buffing clones. So I would like to see, a smattering of all the worst units in the game. Grievous Droidekas, Rebel Mandos, get some points cuts. I think that'd be awesome. We'll see. I don't expect like random heavy weapon upgrades to make the list, so to speak, like it would have in the past. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd say Rebel Troopers. As far as like, if I had to pick like one unit to get a cut or a buff, it would be Rebel Troopers because that's the one that would have the biggest impact on the whole.
All right, Kyle. Fine. You're right. You're always right.
Obviously not. I didn't win Worlds, Jay.
Good
you
God.
reminded me at the beginning of this cast.
I'm just saying, you're talking awful high and mighty for someone who didn't win, How dare you tell me what to play? You didn't win Worlds. The only person I listen to is Luke Cook. No, that's a terrible idea. He's a maniac, and he brings whatever list he wants and just rolls crits. That's terrible. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I've many more things, but we don't have enough time for that. So,
all right.
Any final thoughts?
Do you realize that we're at a point in this game? Like, I didn't ever think we would be here, but we're at a point in this game where there's literally units I forget we even have in the game, like ISPs, for instance. Like, like there's like Fluttercraft. Like, I just forget about units, and someone's like, "Well, what about these?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot those were even in this game." Like, that's a great place to be. I don't know. I'm not saying that negatively. It's just it's cool.
I don't forget Fluttercrafts because when you look out on a convention, so you look out and you see the Fluttercraft sticking up. There's like one or two of them.
All right. Maybe a bad.
Yeah, the ISP on the other hand,
ISP,
being a half an inch from the table.
Right, and the other tank for CIS.
The snail tank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Killian from Germany brought a snail tank, and it was amazing looking. It's like the coolest unit that I've ever seen.
I'm not saying,
but
no, I
you
mean,
see them occasionally. You definitely see them more than ISPs.
And I spent a lot of time painting it, and it was like one of my favorite things to paint. And yet I've literally never played it. Like, but it's painted.
If the
Yeah.
snail were marginally better,
Yeah.
like it's close to being like fine to good. It's just not just a little bit down on that curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyways, yeah, that's my final thought.
I was thinking the other day how amazing, like if you look back at this game in really the first year and a half of its existence, how amazing it was that the game kind of exploded in the way that it did with such relatively small unit diversity.
Yeah.
Like you look at the number of units we had access to in that first 18 months, and yet the game was still amazing and fun. It says a lot about the core foundation of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously hooked all of us right away.
Yep. Yeah, I played 40k for 20 years, instantaneously dropped it for Legion. So.
Yep.
Yeah, because don't want to hear my opinions on 40k.
That's not a high bar.
No. I legitimately haven't heard of a single person who's come over from 40k that's been dissatisfied. Like everyone who's come from 40k is like, oh my god, this game's so much better. And
well, yeah, because 40k people don't have fun.
Right.
They show up and they go grumble, 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 push their models around,
Right.
while the like AOS guys at the
and all your
other side of the
looks
room
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and the AOS people at the other side of the room are hooting and hollering, having a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
AOS
it's
seems genuinely fun. 40k. I don't know. They're coming out with a new edition. We'll see. I'm a Dark Angels player, so I have to at least buy the Lion. But that's going to be a buy and paint and leave it on my shelf situation, I think.
At least specifically in my local community, our AOS community is quite wholesome and very fun. And like we'll be in the same room as the 40k community, and it's just like we're having more fun to them. It just objectively, we're having more fun.
Yep. That sounds right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, this is not a 40k or AOS podcast.
Yet.
Next week we'll have a 40k podcast. We already had
no.
Hear all about the Lion next week. Who goes up for pre-order this weekend? For the low price of $110.
Oh, GW.
I know.
That.
Well, people pay.
But he comes with 4 extra models that you won't use. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna buy him.
And there you go.
But yeah, they don't really, but you know. Anyway. Yeah. Ahsoka good. Cody good.
Cody good.
Rebel troopers send help.
Blizzard, get out of here.
Yeah. Sad Blizzard noises.
Oh, you know what you did.
I know. I know that we're the baddies.
I'm just thinking of the other name that we tried to.
Yeah. I thought of a great one after the fact, which is that Taylor Swift song. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah. Anyway. Not that I'm listening to Taylor Swift randomly. Of course. Anyway.
Don't be ashamed of who you are, Kyle. That's what Taylor would say.
That's right. Shake it off.
Yeah.
Kyle's knowledge of Taylor Swift songs surprisingly high. All right.
That's all right.
Yep.
You like what you like.
I had to interview a whole bunch of people over the weekend for school stuff, and my between interview playlist was for some reason Green Day and Coldplay.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope, it was.
I grew up on Green Day.
Yeah, dude. I remember. Here you go, Tim. Here's an old one. I waited in line to get the first Green Day, the Dookie album, after like MTV had the music video. I had to get that CD. And I also did the same thing for the first Foo Fighters CD. So that tells you how old I am.
That sounds so wholesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching all like live concert stuff, and the era of concerts where not everyone was just holding a phone up.
Oh yeah, dude.
Did you listen to it on your Walkman?
Yep. Yeah,
I have touched a Walkman.
I own one that was a cassette player, dog.
Yep.
Do you remember that thing from Home Alone that he had, the recorder?
Mm-hmm.
I had that.
Yep.
want to start talking, go. We're old, Tim. We're old.
All right.
Oh, can I say this real quick before we get off?
Yeah.
One of my kids was laughing at me. I was playing video games. We were playing Sea of Thieves, and I was like, ah, crap, I can't figure this one thing out. And he's like, oh, Dad, you're so bad at video games. He goes, I bet you could pick any video game, and I'll just beat you at it, Dad. I go, okay. And I go, anyone? And he goes, yeah. And so I go, Killer Instinct. And he goes, okay. And so I literally just smashed his face in for like half an hour on Killer Instinct. I'm like, any fighting game, I will dominate you. And he was just like, how are you this good? I go, just shut up and take it. And I'm just like, like the whole house, I'm like cheering and like, it's like watching a football game. I'm like, oh, who's number one now?
Yep.
I'm like kicking stuff, punching him, throwing him down, like, yeah. And he's like, what is happening? I go, that's what you get. Tell me you're better than me at any game of mine.
That's like Smash Bros in our student lounge.
Yeah.
I want to play Smash.
Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, so good.
Yep. Good times.
Especially with the Switch when you can have up to 8 people playing.
Oh wow, that sounds
Yeah,
crazy.
it's nuts.
Yeah, I remember playing that in college, the original one.
Fighting
I-
games.
I grew up on the
one thing.
GameCube one.
Yeah,
Yep.
oh yeah, that's a good one. That's the only thing I'm good. Like fighting games, anytime you put me in front of any fighting game, Tekken, Dead or Alive,
Mhm.
Street Fighter. Oh
Yep.
man,
Jay,
start smashing people.
you'll
Soul
have to show
Calibur, is
up.
that too late for your generation? Soul Calibur.
No, that was
Okay. That was a good one. I remember playing
Yeah.
that one growing up.
If when you go to LVO, you'll have to go to the apparently yearly trip to the gaming lounge where they have the whole arcade set up.
all right.
Oh, it's so good.
Really? That's the thing?
Yeah, the thing that I went to after oh, you didn't come to that either.
Oh, it's like a restaurant thing with an
Yeah,
arcade. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
not in the
Oh, yeah, I went to
in the
sleep.
house. Yeah, but it's like all like they have all retro machines, and then behind the bar is all modern machines.
That's why, like any of these conventions, if Kyle needs a roommate, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Like, because
Yeah.
it's just like we're both like,
Yeah, dinner, bed at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. All right. Night,
Arcade
Kyle.
sounds great though. That
Yeah.
sounds really fun. I might have
Yeah.
to stay up late for one night for that. Area 51, that was my favorite arcade game.
That's a good one.
I
All
do love
right.
pinball.
Mine
Pinball
was
good too.
Cruise in USA.
Yep, that's another good one. Yeah. The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Turtles.
All right.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Anyways,
We went way off track this
Yep.
this podcast.
this is like an
Yep.
Evan and Jay podcast.
Yep.
All right.
All right, we're the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
I am Jay.
I am Timbo.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Yeah.
Shake it off.